But it's not on a supplementary agenda.
I'll call the meeting to order. I'll call the meeting to order. We won't have debate on an item that's meant to be conducted in open council before the broadcast is recommenced.
It's not on the public agenda.
I'll call the meeting to order.
Mr. Mayor, the meeting is now live streamed.
Thanks very much, Catherine. Councillors will be aware, or perhaps not all are, that officers have brought to our attention a late report, which is the quarterly second quarter budget review. And I'll ask the General Manager just to outline for councillors why this is being tabled as a late report and why it requires our consideration now before concluding the meeting.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to go to the Director of Corporate Services, who will present.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Council officers became aware of the intent for the notice of motion that was titled this evening, that was titled Enhancing Democratic Participation, with the intent of that notice of motion to have monthly council meetings. Council officers then sought advice from the Office of Local Government with the requirement under the local government regulation to put the quarterly budget review statement to council within 2 months of the end of each quarter. And under the guidelines, the OLG advises that is the status, that it needs to be done within 2 months. And by not doing it, we would not meet the schedule, and putting it to the council in March would not be exercising good governance. Therefore, council officers have worked expeditiously to prepare this report for council's consideration this evening.
Can I seek further clarification, please, about the process that is required for the report to be considered now, and whether once it has been tabled, whether there is a requirement for its adoption tonight or whether it could be deferred to a subsequent meeting without breaching OLG regulations?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the advice that we have is that the report must be reported to council within 2 months after the end of each quarter, not necessarily that it's adopted.
Right. And can I seek clarification from the Manager of Governance about the process that's suggested for, or that would be required for, the report to be tabled now?
Yes, so the procedural motion is moved that a matter of urgency is considered. It needs to tick 2 boxes. There needs to be a council resolution to consider an urgency motion, and then the chair needs to deem that it is of an urgent nature. If those 2 things are considered, then the item can be considered and the motion in the item can be put to council.
Is there any councillor who wishes to move that way? Councillor Lockie, do you wish to speak to the urgency?
I think we've had that addressed.
I think so. So Councillor Lockie is moving that the quarterly budget review report be tabled urgently. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Second that, Mayor.
Seconded by Councillor Scott. So councillors will vote on urgency. Then the process requires that I determine whether the matter is urgent as chair. If the council votes to say that the matter should be dealt with urgently, I'm then required to determine whether I assess that it is urgent, and then we can discuss or preferably resolve the substantive matter. So Councillor Lockie has moved that the motion be that the report be considered urgently, seconded by Councillor Scott. All those in favour, please raise your hands. All those against? I believe that's carried unanimously. Does anyone wish to be recorded voting against it? That is carried unanimously. I will rule that the matter is urgent. Will any councillor move the adoption or deferral of the report?
Mayor, may I move?
I have Councillor Drury.
May I move that we note the second quarter budget review and determine whether we adopt it at our next meeting?
Is there a
I'll
second for
second
that
it.
motion?
I'll second.
Councillor De Cruz will second that motion. Is there anyone who wishes to speak against it? If not, I'll just check that the officers have been able to capture that wording. Yeah, that's been captured accurately. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried unanimously. Thank you so much to everybody for the efficient, professional, respectful way that the business has been conducted tonight. We've got through a lot, notwithstanding some procedural disagreements, the substantive policy issues. There's been an enormous amount of consensus. Let's keep going that way. I declare the meeting closed. Have a great night.